So we're barely a week into the first ever G League season including young prospects, and already it's pretty obvious this option is the way to go for top recruits in high school, and to me it's not really close. The NCAA is cool for the college experience and March Madness, but that's about it. Players are starting to realize their worth, and the great performances of Jalen Green, Kuminga, and Daishawn Nix so far are proof that the pro level development and training that was advertised was not just BS. And right now, Team Ignite has a 4-1 record as their combination of young talent and veterans has been too much for most of the G League. And this may sound like a weird way to start the video based on the title, but I'm just making it clear. I still got the G League over other options when it comes to the top players like Jalen Green. However, based on what we have seen so far, there may not be enough shine to go around for the amount of young talent on the roster, and that is a problem. So far, we should all be able to agree. Jalen, Kuminga, and Nix are pretty much the only Ignite guys with the spotlight on them, while Isaiah Todd struggles for consistent minutes, Principal Singh gets no minutes, and Kai Sotto was just in a complicated situation altogether. So yeah, today I'm gonna further explain this one problem with G League Ignite so far and why it's a pretty big deal. But before I go any further, what's up YouTube, Plug Speaks, back with a vid. If you are new, first of all, welcome, go ahead and subscribe. Also like the video if you enjoy. I upload 3 to 4 times a week, and we're grinding to our goal of 5K right now, so I'd for sure appreciate it. But back to the vid though. So the primary goal of all the young Ignite recruits when they chose the program was to develop and just improve their draft stock, and of course also to get paid 6 figures. But yeah, the ultimate goal for all of them is to just get better and make the NBA. And like I mentioned earlier, for some members of Team Ignite, all of these positives are happening. For example, Kuminga was already projected to go somewhere within the top 10 prior to when G League action began, but more so closer to 10 rather than anywhere near 1. However, after just 4 games played, he's already entered the number 1 pick conversation. And I'm not saying he'll go number 1, but believe it or not, many people would strongly argue his case, and that's something that was not happening at all a couple months back. Then you got Jalen Green, who had an average debut by his standards, but since then, he's played pretty amazing and has delivered on his hopes of being able to score the ball with ease and efficiency, while also being a walking highlight reel. And I'd say he's pretty much maintained his presence in that number 1 pick, top 3 pick lock conversation. And then there's Daishawn Nix, who depending on a mock draft, he's supposed to go in the 1st or 2nd round, but on the low, he's building a case to be taken top 10 just off how well he can play that role of a point guard. And he has good size. Y'all might be unaware, but he's actually grown from 6'3 to 6'5 ever since graduating from high school. So yeah, just another reason to believe in his potential. But right there with Daishawn Nix is pretty much where things end off as far as Ignite players improving their draft interest. Because on the outside looking in, it seems as if Kai Sotto, Isaiah Todd, and Principal Singh have been stagnant in their NBA readiness. And it's not because they're trash or because they're playing bad, it's none of those. It's more so due to a mix of the coaching, the spread of minutes, and the effort to give the veterans some real playing time as well, which is understandable. But with all those factors, it rounds back to what I said in the intro. There might not be enough shine to go around for all the young talent on the roster, and that's a problem. But I'll go into more detail of the possible decline of some of these recruits. Starting with Kai Sotto, their 7'2" skilled center that could become the first NBA player to be born and raised in the Philippines. And he actually just returned to the team after he had left to keep his promise of playing in the Asia Cup, but that got cancelled and now he's quarantining in the bubble before he can really play games. And his situation is pretty tough because even after his quarantine is up, you have to wonder, how will they incorporate him and give him good playing time with the way Ignite has already been rolling? And also because the head coach Brian Shaw has literally said that he's not even thinking of Kai Sotto's addition to the rotations until he is officially back with the team after quarantine. And by the time his 14-day quarantine is up, the regular season will be halfway over. I mean, the G League season this year is just a month long. So basically, the huge Filipino fan base Kai Sotto has behind him that will bring in more viewers to the G League will barely witness him play. And even worse, NBA scouts especially won't really be able to see whether or not Kai Sotto's impressive play in high school could really translate to the NBA. and he would also be unable to answer some of the main questions around his game, like whether or not he has the weight or is strong enough to compete at an NBA level, which will of course unfortunately lower his draft interest, the complete opposite of what he signed up for. And now all of this is speculation, however, it does seem pretty likely. But yeah, on to the next player that may not really be benefiting as much from the G League, which is Isaiah Todd. He's averaging about 21 minutes and has had some solid games so far, but at 21 minutes, he's getting the least amount of minutes out of any other young Ignite prospects outside of Principal Singh. And y'all can decide whether or not it's just a coincidence that in a game where he got 30 minutes, he shot 5 for 8 from the field, 4 for 5 from 3, grabbed 6 rebounds, and just had his best performance yet. So it's just a little bit confusing that his playing time is lower in comparison to some other members of the team. And part of it is probably because the veterans need minutes as well, but at the same time, the balance of developing the young talent and trying to actually win games has to be a real balance, if not prioritized as development. And you know it's not prioritized as development right now, because if that were the case, Daishen Nix would be the starting point guard, and Isaiah would probably be the starting power forward or center, and then Principal Singh would not have 4 DNPs through 5 games. So yeah, it's still early, and Isaiah's playing time will likely increase, but right now it's looking like staying committed to Michigan and playing for the NCAA would have been a better option for him simply because of the opportunity. Not to mention, even without him, Michigan has a 14-1 record, so he would have been able to experience March Madness, one of the very few perks of choosing college over going pro. And to add insult to injury, Brian Shaw has even said that Isaiah has been their most consistent player in practice for a couple weeks, which sounds great, but then doesn't that mean he should be getting even more opportunity and minutes and playing time? I don't know, at least that's how I'm looking at it. I'm not even trying to come for the head coach. I'm basically just saying what it looks like from a fan on the outside looking in. But on to the last Ignite player getting less shine, which is Principal Singh. And I'll be honest, until I started working on this video, I did not know much about him besides that he joined this team last out of all the young prospects. So y'all may not even be aware that he was on it, but he's a 20-year-old 6'9" forward/center trying to become the first Indian-born NBA player. He received an offer to play for Ignite after his time at NBA Academy India, and the plan is to show he can compete against better competition and maybe an NBA level. However, through 5 games, he's gotten just 7 minutes of playing time, barely any at all. And before the season began, the coach did say he would not get significant minutes, but even still, not even a full quarter through 5 games is not doing much for development, and his chances at the NBA are looking very slim. So yeah, all in all, I'd still say the G League is the way to go, but it's very clear that only the best of the best high school prospects should be on the program, because only so many young talents can really show out on this team. And now of course this is just the first year of the program, and having 2 guys go top 5 in the draft and potentially 3 go top 10 is a major W. However, for the guys who need more than 1 year in the program, the future is a little unclear, but I know they keep their NCAA eligibility, so maybe they would just take the D1 route after that. I'm not too sure, but yeah man, that's pretty much it for me. Just an interesting topic I had on my mind. Let me know what you think about all of this. I appreciate y'all watching. Like this up, share, sub if new, all of that, and I'm out.